They called him slow. They thought he'd never amount to anything. But that same boy would go on to change the world's understanding of time, space, and reality itself. This is the story of how Albert Einstein turned silence into genius. Albert Einstein didn't speak until he was nearly 4 years old. His parents were worried. His teachers didn't understand him. Some even thought he had a learning disability. In fact, one teacher told him directly, "You will never amount to much." Imagine that, a child, curious about the universe, being told his future was hopeless. At school, Einstein was bored. The rigid rules and rote memorization didn't excite him. He wanted to think, to ask questions, to understand why things worked, not just how. But when he asked questions, most adults didn't have answers. So, he turned to something that never judged him. Books, especially books on math and physics. By age 12, he was teaching himself advanced geometry. By 15, he had mastered calculus. But even then, universities didn't welcome him with open arms. He failed the entrance exam to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic. Not once, but twice. Did he give up? No, he tried again. And again, until he got in. But even after graduating, Einstein couldn't find a job as a teacher or a scientist. So he worked as a clerk in a patent office, regular 9 to 5. Every day, he reviewed inventions. But at night, his mind explored the universe. And it was during those quiet nights that Einstein developed his theory of relativity, an idea that would shake the very foundation of physics. All from a man once labeled too slow to learn. Albert Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." His story reminds us, it doesn't matter how you start. What matters is what you believe about yourself, and how hard you're willing to work. You don't have to be loud to be brilliant. You don't have to fit the mold to make an impact. Sometimes, the quietest voices change the world the most. So, if you've ever been underestimated, misunderstood, or told you're not enough, remember Einstein. And let your silence speak louder than their doubts. Do you know who the real genius is? It's not me, it's you. You are the real genius. Yeah, you listening to this right now. You're the genius. But somewhere along the way, we stopped believing in ourselves. We traded our curiosity for cynicism, our imagination for practicality, our dreams for safety. That's what they want you to do. They want you to stop dreaming, stop imagining, stop questioning, stop being curious. But that's where your power lies. In your curiosity, in your questions, in your imagination, in your dreams. That's where the magic happens. When Albert was 4 years old, he didn't understand why he couldn't express himself. He didn't know that he was different. All he knew was that he had something to say and no one was listening. They called him slow, like he was broken. Maybe they were right. Maybe he was. Maybe he didn't fit into their world. Maybe they were the ones who were slow. He just didn't know it yet. And then, one day, something magical happened. His parents bought him a gift, a present. It wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't a toy car or a train set. It was a simple wooden box. But inside that box was something that would change everything. A set of building blocks. And as he played with those blocks, something amazing happened. He started to imagine. He built towers and castles and bridges. He created worlds and explored them. He discovered the joy of creation, the thrill of discovery, the power of imagination. And then one day, he found something else. There was a book in the house. A big, thick book with pages and pages of numbers and formulas. He didn't understand what they meant, but he loved the way they looked, the way they felt. So he started to explore them, to play with them, to create stories around them. And that's when he discovered the magic of mathematics. He realized that numbers weren't just symbols on a page, they were keys to understanding the universe. They were a language that could unlock the secrets of the cosmos. When Albert was 12, he read a book about physics that changed his life. It was a book about the nature of light, about how light travels in waves. And as he read the book, he had a question. Why do waves travel in only one direction? Why can't they travel backwards or sideways? And then he had another question. What if light waves could travel in all directions? Could they create new effects, new phenomena? And that's when it hit him. Light waves could bend, twist, warp. And that's when he had his first epiphany. Space and time intertwined in a cosmic dance. He was 16, sitting in his bedroom, writing equations on the walls, on the floor, on any surface he could find. He was so absorbed in his work that he didn't hear his father come in. "What are you doing?" his father asked. "I'm trying to understand the universe," Albert replied. His father shook his head and left without saying a word. But Albert didn't care. He was too busy exploring the universe. He didn't need anyone else's permission. He didn't need anyone else's approval. He just needed his imagination and his curiosity. When Albert was 26, he published a paper that changed the world. It was a paper about special relativity, about how space and time are intertwined. And it was controversial. It challenged everything that scientists believed about the universe, and it made him famous. Suddenly, everyone wanted to talk to him, to interview him, to be near him. But Albert didn't care. He was too busy exploring the universe. He didn't need fame. He didn't need fortune. He just needed his imagination and his curiosity. And then came the ultimate test. When Albert was 39, he published a paper that changed the world. It was a paper about general relativity, about how gravity works, about how space-time bends and twists. And it was revolutionary. It overturned everything that scientists believed about the universe, and it made him a superstar. Everyone wanted to talk to him, to interview him, to be in his presence. But Albert still didn't care. He was too busy exploring the universe. He didn't need fame. He didn't need fortune. He just needed his imagination and his curiosity. But here's the thing. It wasn't just his imagination that made him great. It was also his curiosity, his insatiable curiosity about the world. He was always asking questions. Why is the sky blue? Why does water boil? Why do birds fly? And as he asked questions, he uncovered the secrets of the universe. He unlocked the mysteries of the cosmos. And it all started with a simple question: why? Why is the sky blue? So next time you see the sky, ask yourself, why is it blue? And as you ponder the question, remember Albert Einstein, the man who turned silence into genius. Thank you.